Hello, greetings, Karen Clay here, Somatic Unwinding. We're finishing our lesson 4 of a 4-part lesson, coordinating the flexors and extensors. Let's come on down onto our backs. Lengthen against the floor, settle yourself in, wiggle, breathe, get yourself settled. Once again, noticing the weight through the heels, the weight through the pelvis, the weight through the elbows, the weight through the shoulder blades, the weight through the skull. Settling into the support, surrendering into the support that the ground affords you 24/7. Let's take a moment to remember the components of the lesson, crossing one knee over the other, taking the knees to the side and back to center. Doing that on the other side. Then the marionette strings to establish the width of the shoulder girdle against the floor, and the isosceles triangle with the elbows straight, moving that right and left. Beginning to combine the knees moving in the opposite direction as the triangle. And that's where we left off. So let's bend and stand our legs again. Cross your right knee over your left without moving your left foot on the floor. This time I'd like you to interlace your fingertips beneath your skull and bring your elbows on either side of your head so that you have your elbows are pointing to the ceiling, and you basically have a hammock that you're resting your head in. And so keeping the knees in the center first, would you simply start to press into the floor with your upper back so that your head moves away from the floor about 1/4 inch. Actually do this. Keep the skin of your knuckles touching the floor. Don't actually separate from the floor, but begin the lifting process. Can you do this without an excessive amount of bracing in your abdominal muscles? By pushing into the floor. Use your foot. Push your upper back into the floor. Good. Now please take your knees to the right, as far as is comfortable, and lift again. And lower. Bring your knees back to center. Knees to the right and lift. If this is too difficult for you, then you can do the knees first, press into the upper back second, so that the head moves away from the ground. Either way, simultaneous or sequential. What do you need to press into the floor more thoroughly so that the head lifts? Simply because you're counterbalancing the weight. Knees move to the right, head, upper back moves into the floor, head lifts barely away from the floor. We're not even going to mention the word that this movement looks like, because we're not doing anything close to something you would do in a fitness class. This is way more refined. All right, so now let everything down and rest for a minute. Maybe roll your head. Put your hands on your abdomen. Make sure your abdomen is soft. Bend and stand your legs again, this time keeping your right leg where it is. Cross the left over right. Interlace your fingertips as you normally would do in front of you. And then cross them one finger over. So this is something probably you never do. It might feel like you're wearing the left shoe on the right foot. Another way to tease the nervous system into paying attention. So elbows on either side of the head, lifting through center for a few times, keeping the knuckles on the floor. So the skin of the knuckles stays on the floor, You press your upper back into the ground so the head moves away, because you're counterbalancing the weight of the head with the weight of the rib cage. If the weight of the rib cage goes down, the weight of the head becomes lighter. Now let your knees move to the right. I'm sorry, to the left, 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 sorry, to the left. And now, what do you need to press into the ground so that you don't have to tighten your abdominal muscles? How do you use the foot on the floor? Can you breathe into your belly? Fill your belly full of air. Lift using the weight of the belly to help you, and lower, and then exhale and pause. Continuing to play with strategies to make this easier. What's different about this besides the interlacing your fingertips? Is this an easier side for you? A less easy side? And come back to center, take a brief rest. So this whole 4 series is meant to be one lesson, although it's fine to take it in parts, but once you have it down, it is great to do the whole lesson, because if you've done the whole lesson, you'll discover some differences between the beginning of the lesson and the end of the lesson. So let's come back to what we worked with at the very beginning in the first lesson. Crossing right over left, taking your knees to the right, and noticing how simple and obvious and easy it is to create the right support through the floor so that your knees can move further to the side without effort, without trouble, without disturbing the breath, without squeezing or wincing or cringing, with relaxed fingertips. So when your knees are to the side of yourself, take a look here. Notice that your lumbar spine on the left side is away from the floor, but you're flexed between the right leg and your torso. So here is coordinating the flexors in the front and the extensors in the back. In order to do this twisting movement, by taking the knees to one side, we are coordinating flexion and extension, because spiraling always encourages both movements, flexion and extension. Come to the other side, cross and recross. Now, if this hurts your lower back or anything else, you must stop short of pain. If you can't do the movement without pain, then go back to an earlier step in the lesson. You can fill your belly full of air to help you support yourself, so that incrementally you find that it's easier and easier to lower the knees, because they're being counterbalanced through the rest of the torso, through that right shoulder blade. Continue to play with this for as long as you like on both sides. Remember, the pattern is right over left, go right, left over right, go left. Thank you for watching. I hope you've really enjoyed this lesson. Please visit my website, somatifunwinding.com, where you can find out about weekly lessons on Zoom. Thank you.